Masked man, you were careless. Like that, having finished hearing Subaru's explanation of his circumstances, the masked man's first words in response were biting. Just as he had been asked by the man, Subaru had given a clean description of what happened between him and Rem, omitting the complicated situation which also surrounded them. He told him that Rem's memories were jumbled, and that she had escaped after knocking him out. And he also included the part where she was acting together with a dangerous little girl. Subaru, I know, I was being a huge idiot. But you won't stop there, right? Exposing my recently acquired dark past and being done with making fun of me. Masked footman. Fool. How could I bother to go as far as to using my precious time to deride a jester such as yourself? That girl, she was able to think on her feet to a certain degree, yes? Subaru. Yeah, I think so, maybe. Intimidated by the air the masked man was giving off, Subaru nodded truthfully. As a versatile maid, Rem played an active part in the various moments of daily life, but an evaluation such as that couldn't be obtained just by being skilled at doing housework. Determining the abilities of different people and placing them where it would be most appropriate for them, before letting them act. Even during fights, she predicted his movements and moved in sync with him, despite not saying anything to invoke that. Rem was a smart girl, even if her memories had been lost. Masked man. If that is so, it is highly feasible that you have been plotted against. Subaru. Plotted against? You're saying that I got tricked? I don't. Masked man. In this case, whether she has her memories or not is not the problem. What is important that the girl is aware she is being chased after, and she has the ability to come up with this and that against her pursuer. For example, cutting off his words there, the masked man stared at Subaru from head to toe with his black eyes. Feeling like his thoughtlessness was being criticised, Subaru drew his shoulders closer to himself. Looking at Subaru, the masked man narrowed his eyes. Masked man. For example, something such as purposely leaving traces in the grassland to disguise the direction she had escaped in. Subaru. ... Masked man. You must have been quite anxious after you awakened from being knocked unconscious. When you felt like you needed to find her as soon as possible, what would you do if there were footsteps placed there as if being shown off to you? Ardent and eager, Subaru had run after the traces like a mongrel. It was what happened in reality, and it was the answer to the mocking gaze of the masked man. Of course, he can make a retort, saying it wasn't it, but... Subaru. Sure enough, I couldn't find any more traces deeper into the forest, coming from the entrance. But I thought it was because the paths were unsteady and hard to walk on. Masked man. You do not avert your eyes from the truth that is inconvenient for you. Subaru. I've known that I'm stupid and I'm an idiot for a long time. It's only that I have a gift for adaptability and willpower, something I'm on the same page with the other me. It couldn't be conveyed, even if he said it, but Subaru replied to the masked man as such. Truthfully, the man's speculation made a lot of sense. Looking back on it, the traces left on the top of the grass felt way too obvious. Among wild animals such as foxes and rabbits, there were those that did such as purposely leaving footprints behind, jumping into a clump of grass midway, utilising techniques which confused their predators. The marks Rem left in the grass were the same, so what if it was a cunning trap in order to deceive him? Subaru. She maybe go a different way, different direction, and went the other way instead? Masked man. In that case, the direction one will choose to go would often be the exact opposite. It is reasonable to select the method in which she could escape as far away as she could, considering her state of mind. Do you understand? Subaru. It's frustrating, but I get it. Damn it! That Rem. Just as the masked man said, if Rem had deliberately left visible tracks as decoy, there was a high possibility she had made her escape towards that opposite direction. However, if Subaru managed to get a good guess on her actions and went to the forest on the other side, he might be able to work out something to catch her. He felt somewhat like a villain, but... Subaru. I'm used to giving others a bad first impression because of stuff like my face and my body odour. I will definitely catch up to her. Masked man. How high-spirited. Here, take this with you. Subaru. Standing up as Subaru attempted to dash away, unable to stand still for any longer, the masked man threw something at him, palming his sack of belongings. As Subaru looked at the thing that he just caught in his hands, he saw it was a small knife, fitted with the side of a leather sheath, When he winded his eyes at this, the man shrugged his shoulders. Masked man. It is not a forest you could confront with a single whip. Utilize it to the best of your ability. Subaru. I'm really thankful for it, but are you sure? I can't do anything in return right now. Masked man. I do not mind. Sometimes I would like to be the one who bestows to another. Or will you make an effort to deprive me of every one of my belongings with a knife? It sounded like he was joking, but it was true that he had given Subaru the power to carry it out. The masked man had a certain amount of skill, but it couldn't be declared that Subaru didn't have a chance against him, no matter how slim it was. In that sense, the man's actions were akin to a type of gamble. However, Subaru. My name is Natsuki Subaru. This is unmistakably a debt that I owe you. I will definitely return this favour that I was given. I won't try anything ungrateful. Firmly fastening the knife he received on his waist, Subaru bowed deeply. Looking at that, the masked man let out a small scoff with a I have already shown you the way. Get on with it and go. By all possible means, you are to make every effort in winning over the trust of the runaway girl. Subaru. I totally agree. Thanks for the help. Oh wait, that's that, but... Masked man. What is it? Waving his hand to express his gratitude, Subaru paused right as he was about to rush into the forest. The masked man's voice had a hint of exasperation in it because of how busy he looked, but Subaru pointed his finger at the forest in front of him. Subaru, I'm passing through here to get through back to the grasslands I was in, but you shouldn't really use this path. There's a frightening hunter in here. They'll try and kill you from afar with a bow. So man, no matter how many lives you have, it won't be enough against them. If you're going somewhere, I recommend you take a detour around the forest. Masked man. I see, I understand. I will keep it in mind. Subaru. Yes, please do that. See you. Hearing the masked man's response, Subaru succeeded in preventing his benefactor from immediately being killed by the hunter, avoiding a potential situation that left a bad taste in his mouth. And then, racing into the forest as fast as he could, he started running for the first grassland with all his might. Subaru. It cuts really well. Fortunately, Subaru didn't have much trouble returning to the first grassland. It was because the knife he received from the masked man had a sharp edge, giving him a huge boost in slicing off the branches that leave the obstructive path. Normally, when it came to a knife like this, it seemed like the blade would be heavily chipped if it was to be overused, but he felt no inconveniences such as that. Perhaps it might be an excellent blade of the highest quality. Subaru. His clothes looked pretty expensive too. Who exactly was that guy? While wondering about it, Subaru returned to the original grassland with great haste. After that, when he searched around the area where he had been led towards the opposite way, found it. This must be it. Just now, on the other side of the marks placed for show, Subaru discovered a set of footsteps left in an uneven shape on the grass. It looked like Rem had tried her best to rub out the tracks, but it was very likely that she could only erase her own, and couldn't fully erase Louise. Since traces of the effort that was put into removing the tracks were there, it was implausible to think of this as an additional decoy, which meant... Subaru. Finally, I got something on you, Rem. Although he was self-conscious of it earlier, he uttered the words that made him straight up sound like a villain, running as fast as he could whilst chasing after the marks which became his newly discovered sign of Rem's location. The tracks which continued to the entrance of the forest were the same as last time. However, it wasn't possible to disguise the broken twigs at the entrance, nor the footprints in the mud. Subaru. I found it. If I use this... I can catch up to Rem, Subaru thought, as he attempted to track the footprints in the mud with eagerness. It was the next moment. Subaru. Huh! As Subaru paid attention to the new footprints, a tide vine broke apart below his feet. The recoil made the branch it was now supporting shoot out towards him, and a powerful blow struck him from the side. Subaru. Receiving a horizontal lash from the branch as thick of his arm, Subaru was sent flying at a long distance. A pained cry escaped from him as he rolled across the mud, unable to stand up from the impact of the blow. His vision flashing and flickering between light and dark, hit by this surprise attack that he wasn't expecting, Subaru's consciousness twirled around like a revolving light of a police car from the pain and the shock. Subaru, right now, could that be? When the pain was mitigated after a while, Subaru finally stood up on the spot. Though he knew it was affecting his knees, He also knew that a massive amount of internal damage was done on the side of his body. However, his shock extended beyond that. Subaru, a trap? Although she was running away, she wouldn't end it with a simple escape. Despite having lost her memories, she could exert herself to the fullest. That was how fearsome the girl, Rem, could be. Natsuki Subaru finally realised it, then and there, that this was the beginning of the second real, genuine battle with Rem, ever since he had arrived from this world.